Hey guys, happy Homebrew Wednesday. I'm a little bit late this week, just busy, yeah, life stuff. I've been seeing everyone else's videos and thought, oh man, I really need to get onto this, so here we are. This might come out on Friday. Anywho, so, brewing logbook. If you don't have one, get one. And write down all of your brews, no matter what they are. Just write them down and optionally write some notes after it as well. Anywho, so our next beer, currently the porter, sorry, that one's fermenting just over there right now. It's bubbling like a son of a bee. It's just like blah, 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 blah. So it's good. A nice healthy temperature too, I think 18 degrees, and the yeast for SO4 is 15 to 20, so bang on. Cool, so we're about, this is the third day into that, so probably tomorrow I'll see how the airlock activity is going, and if it's starting to slow down, maybe we'll look at doing a diacetyl rest the next day or whatever. We'll see how we go. But yeah, anyway, the next beer that we're doing is the Imperial Stout, or the Russian Imperial Oaked Stout. As I mentioned in a previous Homebrew Wednesday, this is the one based off the Hidden Agenda, Dan's beer from the SJ Pour Challenge 2014. So his was a Russian Imperial Stout that was oaked. So basically what we're doing is we are pretty much cloning his recipe. So I managed to get hold of his recipe, I've cloned it, I've actually got pretty much all the ingredients sorted. Currently I'm waiting from my local brew supplier, that beer place. I'm waiting for my ale malt, dark chocolate, dark crystal, roasted barley, and 2 sachets of Safal US 05. So that's all paid for. Probably grab it tomorrow or sometime in the weekend. Boom. So that, I think all those grains and yeast came to $31.40. If you were interested to know, he's got good prices, a friend of mine. The other ingredients are kind of more adjunct, sort of flavouring type things. So we've got 1.5 kilos of Demerara sugar. So I've got 1 kilogram of Demerara sugar. 2 different brands. This brand is more or less just cane sugar in the style or something like that, and this one's kind of the same really, but it's got more salt in it, so whatever. So it's 1 kilo there, but the other 1/2 kilo I actually opted for dark cane sugar. I was looking at the shelf at the supermarket and I was going over all the different sugars, and I think the Demerara sugar is 99 grams per 100 of sugar. The dark cane is 96 grams per 100 grams sugar. So I don't know, there might be something to say about that, whether the other 4 is, whether the other 4 grams is protein and molasses or something, but I thought I'll pick up that as well and see if I get something out of that, so we'll use that. Another ingredient, oak chips, 100 grams here. So I picked this up from the local bin-in store, which sells just bulk products like flour, salt, sugar, malt, and they have a massive home brewing section, so they're doing really well in that regard. They're a little bit expensive, but they're doing pretty well. So this is so nice. Oh, there it is. So what we've got here is authentic Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey Barrel Oak Chips. That is pretty cool. That is worth mentioning on Homebrew Wednesday. And it smells divine. It's basically you've got a glass of whiskey, right? And there's all the characters of the whiskey, the oak, but there's no sharpness, there's no fieriness, there's no you know, the alcohol's not there. Obviously, it's just that oak aroma. It's so good. Yeah, nice. So there it is. There, it's kind of like sawdust, but it seems pretty legit because you can see like bits of burnt wood through there, which is classic of the Tennessee whiskey. If you've seen the documentary, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that's all ready to roll. So basically, what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to, because it's sawdust, I don't want to just tip it into the secondary. So what I might do is get a muslin bag or a bit of cloth, put it in, tie it up, boil it in a shallow pot of water for a couple minutes, and then just pour the whole thing in. Because I need to sanitize it as well. And I had a couple of options. They actually had quite a few different types of oak barrel chips. They also had real massive chunks as well. And I decided to go with the sawdust type because there's more surface area, and the chips are thinner as well. So to me, it seemed like it'd be easier to boil and heat it up. So that's why we did that. But awesome, good ingredient. The other stuff really is just the hops, which I already have, and yeah, the yeast we're waiting for. So that is good to go pretty much. I'll probably do it once the porter's done. No, I could have 2 beers on the go. I've got another fermenter, but I don't know. See how we go. In other news, which is actually to do with the Imperial Stout, what I have done, I realised there was a bit of a grain showcase and competition coming up here in Nelson, and the grain of choice is the Gladfield Manuka smoked grain, which I have a whole kilogram of. So I'm going to enter that by way of doing a partigyle brew on the Imperial Stout. So what I'll do is I'll chuck the Imperial Stout through and rinse the grains, and once I've got my last drip, I will then introduce a kilo of the smoked malt, which apparently does have diastatic power, so that will add gravity into the partigyle brew, which is really cool. So I'll pop that in the mash, mix it up, and add some more hot water, and basically just mash it again for another half an hour to an hour, and then let that drain into a separate pot. So I'll have a separate boil, and we'll have a second beer off kind of like a second runnings type thing. So that's what a partigyle brew is. Basically, it's a really old method of brewing for people who found the grains and things too expensive, and they wanted to, say, make like a high-end beer, high gravity, lots of flavour, and then the plebs or the cheapos would then get the second run, which would be not another mash, but a wash of the grains, and more sugar would come out, and so, you know, they'd end up with a lower gravity beer. Sometimes they'd do this up to 3 or 4 times apparently, which is very surprising. So they must have had quite low efficiency back in the day to be able to have all that sugar left over to, you know, have some more runnings. So that's what I want to do here. I want to pretty much do a partigyle brew and infuse it, for lack of a better word, with smoked malt, and chuck that into the showcase as just a smoked stout. So I won't have the oak chips in the second running, the partigyle, because that will be all in the primary or secondary for the 20 litre, the first runnings. So just smoked for the second one, and we'll enter it in and see if we come away with a prize or some cool feedback, who knows. But they did say they wanted the recipe written down. Now that could be an issue because a partigyle brew is basically reliant on the initial batch plus a bit of a mess around and a second rinse of the grains. So basically I've got to note down the whole recipe for the first batch, and then just note that we're adding a kilogram of Manuka smoked malt and then rinsing again and brewing with that. So it's kind of a strange concept. We'll see how that goes. With the first beer, I'm hoping to get maybe a 6 or 7%, so I'm adding the sugar to bump it up even more. So I really don't know what to expect with the second runnings. Chucking this through, maybe we'll get some more gravity points. Who knows? I've been getting some good efficiency lately, like sort of 75, around there. So who knows? There may not be a lot of sugar left over. So we'll see how we go. So basically, that's kind of all I have going at the moment. I'll show you this beer. So yeah, at the moment we are sitting at, you won't be able to see this, 18 degrees, so that's cool. And there she goes. So as I said, it's the third day in, and we've got a nice crowds in there. Yeah, it's tricky to see. You might be able to see it if I move around. There is a there's a bit of a krausen in there, so all good. And we've still got our 5 kgs of Pilsner, 1.3 of Cara Aroma, and 1.5 of Cara Belge sitting here. So not sure what we're... Whoa, it's kind of a bit wonky here. Not sure what we're going to do with that. We'll see how we go. I'm pretty keen on doing a Pilsner though, after the Imperial Stout, and basically just make just a lawnmower beer, just something that's sort of 4-5%, just real plain malts. But one thing I was going to toy around with was I might add some of the toasted oats to a Pilsner and just see what it does. So that's about all I've got time for. So happy Homebrew Wednesday on a Friday or Saturday. And we'll see you guys later. Cheers. Bye.